I'm getting in the Halloween spirit here. Chucky is getting in the Halloween spirit. I got a little jack-o'-lantern Pez dispenser. I got my little Hello Kitty in a big skeleton costume. Love it. And I'm here to talk about a particular movie on this channel about a year ago. I briefly brought it up, but my beautiful, loving wife, Kelly, decided to buy this movie for us because we watched it on YouTube and loved it. And it's probably one of the more underrated Halloween movies. A lot of people don't really know about this movie. I've noticed that a lot of people have been discovering it more and more as time goes on. But this was actually a made-for-TV movie, and it has Christopher Lloyd in it, and it's called When Good Ghouls Go Bad. Kind of funny title, but it definitely, when you know who wrote it, which is R.L. Stine, you know that it has a very Goosebumps vibe to it. But When Good Ghouls Go Bad is about, it follows like a teenage kid named Danny Walker and the small town he lives in called Walker Falls, and his dad is like running for mayor. And basically his dad is not very present in his son's life. He's basically a workaholic, but he has this plan of taking, Halloween, basically wants to bring back the magic of Halloween to their town. Now, years ago in their town, there was a freak accident involving a guy named Curtis Danko. He pretty much died in a freak accident, and he kind of held this above the town's head and basically was like, he had a note that said, like, he basically was trapped in this vault and basically no one was there to discover him and rescue him. So he wrote this note and said, if you celebrate Halloween in this town anymore, like, you're gonna have it in for you. And so he basically threatens the town that the town can no longer celebrate Halloween. So he has this curse upon Walker Falls, and everyone is afraid to celebrate Halloween. People are even afraid to just say the word Halloween. So, but the dad of Danny Walker basically wants to bring back the magic of Halloween, and even at a town meeting, like, he's just trying to say the word Halloween, and everyone, it just like interrupts him, is like gasping like before he finishes the word. But basically what ensues is a very bonkers movie, but a very fun movie, and especially a very fun movie for most of like the whole family. And I really love this movie, and it definitely captured my imagination. Christopher Lloyd is Danny Walker's grandfather, and basically dresses up as like all these crazy costumes. He's just a really quirky guy, and basically something freaky happens to Christopher Lloyd's character, and so a lot of it involves the undead and basically zombies coming to Walker Falls and all this craziness happening. And Danny Walker and this girl he, ends up meeting, who they form a friendship and kind of hints at a romance with, end up going on this crazy adventure to basically stop this curse, from, taking over the town and kind of making Halloween a thing again in this town. And so it is really wacky. It's really fun. I really can't recommend it enough. Like, it's amazing how much this went under the radar, because even though this was a TV movie made in 2001, I believe it was released, it has a very like 90s feel to it. Like, a lot of people, I would say, if you really enjoy movies like Halloween Town or Hocus Pocus, you will probably really enjoy this movie. And, it's enough for kids to enjoy, and it's enough for, adults to enjoy. And especially, like, there are a lot of adult themes in this movie, and I think this movie does a really good job of really talking well about death and the afterlife, and doing it in a really respectful way, but also like a really realistic way. And there's not a whole lot of movies, like especially movies that are aimed at kids, that really really go for that or try to avoid it at all costs. But this movie kind of does a good job at handling the concept of death and the afterlife, and if there is an afterlife and type of stuff like that. Because a lot of it has to do with the undead and zombies like coming up out of the ground and stuff like that. And I love Christopher Lloyd in this movie. He's just a total bonkers dude. I feel like I channel a lot of that energy around the Halloween season. Like, he's just always dressing up in crazy costumes and doing all these weird things around the house. And it's funny, it's just like Danny, the main character, just has to like deal with this dude. And like, he just like, it's just another day for Grandpa, basically. And most of the characters are pretty enjoyable and really likable. I would say, even towards the end of this movie, like the character of Curtis Stanko, while he is the one holding this curse upon Walker Falls, can't help but feel really bad for the guy. I mean, obviously he passed away in a freak accident, which really wasn't anyone's fault. But like, even at the end of the movie, it's like, even though he holds this curse upon the town, like he still isn't real. He's just kind of overlooked. Like, even though, he wasn't a bad kid when he was alive. He was just basically this outcast, this art guy. He pretty much like was a painter, and even Christopher Lloyd's character, like, he basically like shined a light on a lot of like art students and did a lot for the town. And at the end of the movie, it's like, Christopher Lloyd showed this like newspaper clipping of like this picture of like both of them, and like he was basically spotlighting Curtis Danko and his artwork. And yeah, it's kind of crazy that, I don't know, I just felt bad because it was like, once that addressed the whole thing and tried, they overcame this curse and this situation, like, it just kind of sidelined Curtis Danko. It was just like, he was still like this super moody, dark character, like he was a villain, but he really wasn't a villain. Like, I mean, and that's the thing, is like, a lot of older movies was like, if you had a villain, they were just a villain, and while they may have had a backstory that caused them to, be this bad person, it was like, technically, Curtis Danko had that, but like, I never really saw him as a villain in this movie, and that's something I really liked about it. But just at the end, I just kind of felt for the guy. And there's, in fact, like with Christopher Lloyd's character, it was like, his wife had passed away and had been, dead for a number of years. And like towards the end of this movie, there's just a beautiful moment between him and his wife and like reuniting. And yeah, like I said, this movie does actually a pretty great job at handling death, and at least being that mature of a theme in this movie. It does it really well. It does it both in a very like funny way, but also a very serious way, and it balances itself really well. And maybe I'm reading too much into it because it is basically a kid's movie, but I think there's a lot here for adults to also really appreciate about this movie. So it's really crazy that this was a TV movie, because most TV movies are just like, they provide an hour and a half of just entertainment and you usually forget about it. And I'm sure that those who watched it at the time probably just forgot about it and didn't think much of it. But this is going to be a Halloween staple. And it basically is for my wife and I, and now our daughter. Like, we pretty much are going to probably watch it every Halloween season. And yeah, it gives you definitely like 90s Goosebumps vibes, like the 90s Goosebumps TV show. Like, it gives you like Hocus Pocus vibes. So I know that's up a lot of people's alleys. This movie really isn't scary. It's just wacky, it's kooky, but it isn't afraid to get serious at moments. And that's something I really like about this movie. And this is a real hidden gem, I would say. So I don't really have a whole lot to say. I don't want to give away the whole movie, obviously, but this is a really enjoyable movie. And I mean, this is free to watch on YouTube if you are interested. The movie in full is on YouTube. My wife Kelly, though, was just like, we really like this movie, and so she looked up physical copies, and honestly, there's no Blu-ray of this movie. It's just DVD, and it goes for it's pretty expensive. I want to say Kelly spent like 40, maybe $50 on this. And I mean, to me, it's worth it. And, you know, the DVD itself is in perfect shape. I mean, I remember this even like had like a bookmark that it came with, like for, you know, if you wanted to use it as a bookmark for your next, you know, book you wanted to read or something like that. So I love this movie. Can't recommend it enough, but I'm going to wrap it up there. I want to continue to do a lot of the movies for the Halloween season. I mean, it is the end of August when I'm recording this, but my Halloween spirit is like at a 10 right now. I basically just want to do all Halloween stuff. Kelly and I just put up a video of us starting to decorate, and we have more of that to come, basically. But yeah, this was fun. So thank you all very much for watching. Give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video, and we will see you in a future video. Bye.